Hi Libra, it's Viv from Wisdom Released and welcome to your week ahead reading for July the 9th through to the 15th. I'm using the Wildwood Tarot, Wherein Wisdom Resides, and that's by Mark Ryan and John Matthews. It's an 8-card spread, so a central energy for the week and then one card representing each day of the week, Monday through Sunday. 5 of the cards that I pulled for you, Libra, are arrows, which represents the mental realm. So that tells me that your brain is going to be getting, or maybe having a bit of a workout this week. You've got lots of thinking going on. But the central energy is actually inviting you to connect with your own sense of knowing, your inner wisdom. The ancestor is a metaphor for your inner guidance system. So this card, I don't know whether you can see that there are footprints here already. This card is asking you to make a decision. Are you going to follow the drum of your own knowing by following a path that you've already trodden and is familiar to you and you know where it leads? So are you going to continue in the same way, or are you going to do something different? You're going to turn around and go in a different direction. But this is this knowing is not going to come from the intellectual side of your brain. It's going to come from somewhere much deeper, a much quieter space within you. And I think you are already familiar with that knowing. You've probably already had experience of doing something and then realizing afterwards that your wisdom was telling you to do something different. You've either followed your wisdom and it's worked out, or you haven't followed your wisdom, you've ignored it, and you knew something wasn't going to work out and that you should have done something differently. So this is asking you to connect with that feeling. It's already familiar to you. So to go deeper than your intellect and to connect with your inner sense of knowing. At the beginning of the week, your thinking is pointing you towards one place. So all of these 6 arrows are pointing towards the same thing on the sail. Okay, you are headed in a particular direction, but what's not clear from this card is whether this direction is one that's familiar to you already, or whether it's brand new. My feeling is that it's brand new because you are sailing away from something. The sun is setting on something here, and the way forward isn't clear. So my feeling is that you're making a decision about whether to turn your back on something and sail away, or whether you should stay. And the way ahead, if you continue in the same direction, the way ahead isn't clear because the light that's been shone is moonlight, and so that's telling me that things are hidden about the situation, that there are things that aren't particularly clear about the situation. So should you do this? Should you turn your back on something and move ahead in this direction? Should you chart your own course? Should you sail away? Not in the regular tarot. In the with the 6 of arrows, there are normally people in the boat as well, but there isn't anybody with the figure in this boat here. So that's telling me that you're wondering whether to break away from something. To leave something behind. It could be a relationship, could be a professional relationship, and head in your own direction. As we move into the next day, this card, the Page of Vessels, is telling me that you have a vision. You can see clearly how you want something to be. This is the otter, and the otter can see very clearly in both realms, either on the land or in the water. So he's very skilled and very adept at hunting, but what I'm drawn to on this card is the eye of the otter. So this is telling me that you have a very clear vision of how things should be, of the direction in which you want to be headed. However, in order to get there, you have to embrace this side of yourself. I think this card is telling me that that you are having some serious doubts, that the prospect of breaking away, that the prospect of moving into unfamiliar territory is scary for you. This card, which is the Guardian, the Guardian is standing in front of the mouth of a cave, and the cave, once you get there, nobody knows where it's headed. If it's going through, if there's light at the end of the tunnel, if there's an exit at the end of this cave, or whether it's a dead end. But in order to get there, we have to pass by the Guardian. We have to get past the Guardian, and he is a scary looking creature. I mean, he looks quite funny to me, so there's a sense of like dark humour. So I'm wondering if you're making some dark jokes about your situation at the moment, whether you're making some wry comments about yourself, or whether you're making some wry comments about the situation that you find yourself in. But this situation, this circumstance is very significant. It's a significant point in your life, and it is causing an awful lot of thinking. And there's fearful thinking here, but we need to recognise that a lot of the fear that we feel is thought created. It's just coming from our thinking. It's not actually coming from the circumstance that we find ourselves in. So there's no sort of real flesh and skin. There's no sort of there's no real bite to this Guardian. He can't do you any real damage. It's a skeleton. So it's not. This card is telling me that your fears are not real, and that there is really nothing for you to be scared of. The Nine of Arrows, and the key word for this is dedication, is telling me that to a certain extent you are letting a lot of your thinking fall by the wayside. You're letting a lot of the insecurities, a lot of the fears fall, just pass you by, and they're not sticking. They're just falling to, they're just flying past, over your head, or falling to the ground. And you're keeping hold of one thing, which is, it looks like you're playing a violin. It looks like you're playing an instrument, really. And so this one thought seems to be music to your ears. That this is serving you. This is useful to you, and you are staying on this particular course. That you're connected with your vision. This is coming above the vision, the otter, the vision card. You're connected with it, and you're playing with it, and you're liking how it sounds. However, as we move towards the end of the week, there is a real possibility, if we don't stay in this vibe of letting all of this useless thinking pass us by, there is a real possibility of getting caught up and really destabilising ourselves. The figure here looks like she can be pulled off balance at any time and lose her footing, and lose her connection with the ground. and just get totally carried away. Look, she's already, it looks like she's, it's a bit of a theatrical pose, isn't it? It looks a little bit dramatic, so she is getting really carried away with this. Oh my goodness, all of this is happening, I'm not sure how I can cope. So there is a temptation to get caught up in all of this sort of fearful, dramatic thinking. The Guardian is the card above this on the spread here, so there is a temptation to get caught up in this, but it's really not serving you, because all it's going to do is pull you off balance. The Five of Arrows, as we move towards the weekend, the key word on here is frustration. Normally it points to conflict, it points to things getting in the way and upsetting the balance and what have you, but when I look at this card, considering the other cards that are in the spread, my feeling is that this is you. I think that you are choosing to connect with your inner wisdom and follow your own guidance, and the archer here is you, and you are firing at all of this frustrating nonsense here, and you're getting rid of it. You are shooting this insecurity down, shooting your fears down, because you realise that they just aren't serving you, that they're nothing but an annoying distraction. And then as we get to the end of the weekend, by the time we get to Sunday, there's a feeling of real sort of regal grace here, sort of almost like a balance restored, which is very Libran, as the Queen of Arrows here just sails on by. She's just sailing into calm waters, and it does feel like after the insecure sort of frustrating annoying thinking of the week, that calm is restored by Sunday. The Queen of Arrows, it can be a card of separation, so it could be that you've decided to leave a situation. It could be that you've decided just to cut out all of this thinking that really doesn't serve you. If you can hear something in the background there, that's my dog who's dreaming, so my apologies. So it could be that you are cutting these beliefs that you've had, or this habitual thinking that you've had that isn't serving you. You could be just cutting that out and overcoming your fears and moving on and transitioning into a new stage of your life. It could be that you are leaving a partnership, but you are connecting strongly with your inner guidance, your inner sense of knowing, and you are doing what is right for you. So there we go, Libra. Those are your messages for this week. I hope that's been useful. I hope they've resonated with you. I'll be back next week with another reading, so until then, take care.